I had the pleasure of sitting down recently with Christian Kleinerman, SVP of Product over at Snowflake. And the things that we discussed, I mentioned briefly today, one of which is how Matillion and Snowflake are bringing this new native capability to market early next year. So myself and Christian discussed that, and we also discussed a couple of little more things on Christian's views of where the data landscape is going. So over to you, Christian.
Christian, great to see you again. I'm sure you don't really need any introduction to this audience, but for those of you who don't know, Christian Kleinerman, SVP of Products at Snowflake. Welcome, Christian.
Ciaran, great to see you again. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about our conversation today.
Super. Let's just get into it, Christian, because I'm sure you're a busy man. With all the tremendous success that you've had with Snowflake and your customers, if I could take you back a couple of years, what was the founding vision and what problem were you aiming to solve? And how does the data cloud solve those problems?
Yeah, so the original insight was all about unsiloing of data, which is if you look at the reality of most organizations, their data is in a number of different systems, lots of databases, data warehouse appliances, etc. And if you look at it, usually it was because the infrastructure, legacy on-premises technology, forced customers down that path. But nobody want to be in that reality. What everyone would want is, I want to think through my customer holistically, through my business holistically, through my products holistically. And the cloud presented that opportunity for us, which is, let's build a system with virtually no scalability limits, full elasticity. We're able to separate storage, compute. And a very important part out of just unsiloing data was the simplification of governance. Topics like security, topics like privacy are becoming more and more important. And that's a big part of our original vision. Then very quickly, we realized that what we wanted to do was not just unsiloing data within an organization, but also help cross organizations leverage second-party data, third-party data to have better decisions, better outcomes, better insights. So that's the core of our vision, and that's what we call the data cloud. And we're making tremendous progress towards that vision.
So Christian, there's just a massive amount of different technology choices that data and IT teams these days have to make and kind of sift through. I'm sure at Snowflake, you picked up a few tips and tricks along the way. What recommendations do you have for the next generation budding CIO, CDO, and making their choices?
Most certainly, and probably the first thing that comes to mind is data. As a data fan, I am a believer on the value and the power of leveraging data just to build the technology and to give value to customers. There's plenty of studies. The companies that are building products, that are building services that leverage data are outperforming and outcompeting their peers. The other piece, of course, automation, very, very important. How much is being completely productized and go into a digital world where everyone in an organization can leverage some of the technologies is not a topic for IT or a subset of the company. It's for everyone. And the type of technology that I think is succeeding these days to no end is the technology that is helping customers focus on business outcomes and not necessarily managing infrastructure. We've done a lot of that. You and Matillion have done a lot of that. And I think that's what you see. Who wants to go and buy some technology and turn knobs all day long? All that you want is give me my business outcomes as fast as I can, as cost effective as I can. And that we see as a large trend on who is differentiating from the multiple choices that are out there in the industry.
Christian, can I ask you one follow-on question? Do you see no-code, low-code as a choice as part of that sort of defines that automation, that productivity?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it plays a role, and at the highest level, we see different personas and different styles being presented to all of us as technology vendors. And yeah, some people want the write a lot of code option, someone wants to the low code, someone wants the no code. And I think there's an opportunity for all of them to play a role. So it is not which one is going to be the better answer. It's more which one is going to be the better answer for a given audience, a given personal preference. So Ciaran, what about you? You also play a very important role on data and data capabilities of an organization, what advice would you give to companies looking to transform their organization through data?
I think it's looking at the cloud. I think that's been the big change for the organizations we work with. And it's not just adopting the cloud as a technology, it's adopting it as a kind of a cultural principle. The idea is that, as you said, infrastructure is available. You can scale up the need of your data processing on a dime. All those kind of principles, I think, are at the heart of it. The thing that we see at Matillion is the really great companies invest in data literacy. So it's not just the technology and not just talking about insights and talking about business-ready data. It's actually investing in programs within their organizations. And sometimes that's just as simple as having a lunch and learn program, right? Get the people in the company to talk about the successes they have with data, and it is genuinely success breeds success. So we see that all the time. Those companies that actually do things with data and invest in emphasizing a data-driven culture within their organization, to me, those are the ones that basically seem to stand out from the crowd. And as I say, the technology, cloud-based, culture of the company around data literacy, and then I think it's looking at productivity. How do you give people the right tools and make sure they're using those tools effectively? That's what we see at Matillion, and obviously partnering with Snowflake, I think that's a key element of why we see customers being successful with their data.
Yeah, we're very aligned on that.
Good. So Christian, we obviously love the partnership with Snowflake, the over 1,000 joint customers that we have. And we recently made an announcement with your good selves around the work that we're going to do with putting our data loading capability into your new native application framework. But maybe not everybody knows what the native application framework is. Can you share a bit of the vision and the thought process and the dream for where you're going with that new capability?
Yeah, so certainly, and by the way, thank you for being an early partner on our native applications journey. And the insight behind it, it starts also where the company started. I mentioned unsiloing of data. And what we're seeing is companies put all this energy and effort trying to get a handle of the data and govern it. And then you see this very rich ecosystem of applications, and they all try to copy bits and pieces of the data. And our thesis is that with the native applications framework, instead of having to move data to the different business logic and applications, we can bring those applications down to the data. And we think that it's going to simplify for application developers to go and deliver solutions. It's going to simplify it for enterprise teams to adopt new technologies and faster. It's not just, I want a cool new app, but how fast can I do it? How fast can I go through security reviews, legal reviews, procurement, etc.? We also think that we're going to go and just open up the access to new types of data and data-powered experiences and applications. And at the end of the day, we think that we create opportunities for monetizing data and turning something that could have been just a cost center or a byproduct of a primary business activity, turn it into an opportunity for companies to generate new revenue models. And all of that is what the data cloud is about. Consume data, but also be able to provide data to other organizations.
Yeah, we're super excited as well. And of course, the conference is all about unlocking your data and data productivity. And I think one of the things that we recognize with the native applications is just, again, breaking down those silos, making it much easier for customers to get data into their cloud data platform. And as you say, go the whole route of actually extracting that data, pushing it back into operational systems, putting it at the heart of the business. So we're very excited to see the Matillion technology show up natively directly within Snowflake. But I think it's all about that productivity message, as you say. It's just constantly driving any of those blockers for adoption, blockers for security, governance, any of those things, by trying to get people just to focus on getting their data back into the data warehouse and leveraging it. So very exciting for us. We can't wait to get the first version of that shipping. Let's keep working on that together.
Yeah, we're equally excited, and we know that Matillion will play a very important role on trying to help customers have that single data fabric. And speaking of data, you Ciaran, have spoken about business-ready data. And how do you see us, Matillion and Snowflake, helping our customers succeed on what they're aiming to do in terms of data capability?
Yeah, great question. Maybe I just unpack a little bit what we mean by business-ready data. At Matillion, one of the things we talk to our customers about is modern companies view data in a different way maybe than some of the traditional companies of yesteryear. So it's like three things that are really important. One is traditional BI reporting and analytics. That's the first one, and I think that's what most people associate with the cloud data platform. But I guess more recently, it's including things like data science. So either leveraging principles of data science, like data modeling, or actually just using some of the data science technologies and frameworks that you get and access in the cloud. But then lastly, when you go and have all that great insight, it's about operational analytics. How do you take that information and push it back into the day-to-day business applications where your customers are accessing your website, whatever it may be? So for us, business-ready data is the combination of those three things. It's BI, it's data science, and operational analytics. And I think that's the vision that we always kind of talk to customers about. Why is it so important to push your data to the cloud? Well, it's so important because the real vision is getting well beyond traditional BI reporting. It's actually putting that data at the heart of how you run your future business.
Well, we're very aligned on that goal on how do we take out a lot of the infrastructure and work out of, I just want to have my data ready for delivering value to the business.
So Christian, you have over 6,000 customers last I checked, but how important are some of these enterprise business applications to the Snowflake business? I'm thinking SAP, I'm thinking Workday, I'm thinking maybe financial applications like Anaplan.
I cannot say unsiloing enough times, and that's at the heart of this. Like, customers use many of these interesting business applications. Matillion has connectivity to all of them, and how do you help customers bring that data into a common data platform so that they can reason across those systems? Maybe I want to connect my ServiceNow data with my SAP data, and it's a high priority for all of the largest customers. We have a good number of the Global 2000s as Snowflake customers, and they're all trying to do this rationalization of data across their enterprise. More and more critical workloads are coming into the cloud, and they're also generating data. So it's not just application connectors, but also how do I connect to the operational systems that will help both cleanse, enrich, or simply improve the types of outcomes and insights that can be generated from data. You at Matillion have integration with all sorts of database systems as well as application systems, and you play a critical role in being able to align those data sets into the Snowflake platform, into the Snowflake data cloud. And we're very, very aligned on the notion of Matillion as a native application provider. We think that we will jointly remove friction from how much work there is into bringing data together and aligning data, getting to your business-ready data. So everything we do and everything we want to enable through our partnership is less friction for our customers, mutual customers, and how do we get them focused on generating value to their business and not wrestling the infrastructure.
Yeah, that's why it's so exciting for us today to announce the availability of these capabilities, SAP, Workday, and soon we'll have Anaplan, but it's really driving towards those enterprise workloads. And again, we're super excited to start getting Matillion data loading directly inside Snowflake as part of the native application framework.
Yeah, likewise, super excited. And maybe that's a good place for us to end the dialogue, which is, what's next for Matillion? Well, what's coming? How do you see Matillion helping customers accelerate the data journey, improve and increase their data capability?
Well, for us, it's all about the data productivity cloud. It's like, how do you get organizations to be super, super productive? I think at the start you talked about that. It was that embracing those cloud principles and putting that at the heart of how people run their data management practices. That's kind of crucial for us. And what we're going to be looking at over the next 3 years is how do we remove the need for infrastructure? Everything goes serverless. But when you start to think about the scale that organizations are going to run their business-ready data at in 3 years from now, it's adopting some of those cloud principles. How do you bring in SRE? How do you bring in resilience? How do you bring in more observability into the pipelines? Because running things at that scale, it's going to be difficult sometimes to find out where the errors are. So our vision is ultimately just to have companies and organizations super productive, and the data productivity cloud is how we're going to deliver against that vision.
That's super exciting. We look forward to being part of that journey with you.
Christian, as always, it's just a delight to speak to you. Thanks for spending time with us today. And enjoy the rest of your day. And thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, great to see you again. We will be in touch, and thank you for having me.